Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Academy. And this part of the Titan Forms basic course, we'll talk about the section element. The section is one of the most versatile elements in Titan Forms, and you can use it virtually almost do anything. Now, its main usages are if you wanna for styling, for container, contain a bunch of fields in there, and do logic on the entire section instead of individually a field, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. You can use it to get multiple records from Salesforce, to push multiple records to Salesforce, have it with tabs, so many options. We'll just cover the most used ones. All right, so let's start. Let's say you want to have a condition on something. So let's say text box, and we'll call this condition text box, and we'll put it over here. And let's say you have many more text boxes. Okay, now let's say if you wanted to hide and show your text boxes according to a condition, you want to hide and show all of them or some of them, etc. But something you can group, what you will have to do is head over to your condition. Let's say set condition. I'll say this one contains hello, and we'll support the opposite, and I'll click to configure, and then we will have to go to every single text box and do show, hide, whatever it is we need to do. So we can use this section for, and this is really useful and should be done in case you can group your text, elements that you're running the conditions on, is put them into a table, into a section. And then what we will be able to do is hide and show all of them in one go. Just make sure whenever you drop things on a section that when you move the section, they all move with it. So what we will do now, instead of doing that individually, we will just hide the entire section. So let's label the section so it'll be easy for us. Section for condition. And we will go over here, conditioning, configure conditions. So we have that set up already, and we'll go to section for condition, and we'll say if it contains hello, then hide. We'll apply this, and since we're supporting the opposite, let's publish this guy. Right now it's showing, since this one does not contain hello. If it will contain hello, it will hide the entire section. So this is very useful. Way to use the section is to bunch up a ton of stuff that you need to run logic on, and you can have it applied to everything together. Or let's say if you want to hide per device, then everything on the section will be hidden. That's great. And you can see on the top here what I have in my header. That's a section, and I've used it for styling. So this is a really great tool. So I want to control this as a single element, so I can move it wherever I want, and all the fields in there stay put. Another way, let's say if we want to have a section, we want to have an image, right? So section is an amazing container for styling for images. So what we will do here is we'll head over to the style, to the background, and I'll say back image, and we'll set the image. Let's upload one and select this guy, and we'll hit apply, and images here. Now let's do cover, and now look how cool this looks, and you can control how your image looks. You can size it. It's really cool. You can use fixed, repeat, etc., and you can use different functions according to the size of the image that you want to put. So this is a really amazing way to put images nicely on your form. All right, let's move on to data from Salesforce. The amazing thing about the section is that you can pull multiple data from Salesforce and later on do action on it, almost anything. So let's say you want to bring in a ton of contacts. So let's do text, and we'll call it first name, and we'll do last name, and let's put in an email field as well. Wonderful. And now let's say we want to bring all the contacts from Salesforce onto here. Let's add an object. So I'm in the Salesforce get, want to bring in a contact, get contacts to section. And we will run it on execute on form load. Let's set a static condition. We will say, we don't even have to set up a condition, so just leave it as it is. It will return everything that we have. So we just want to say all limit by 20. Let's set our mapping. So we'll go to first name. We have the first name twice, so we'll say first name, and this one will map the last name. We'll change the label of that in just a second. And email, we'll map it to the contact's email. Apply and finish. We'll save it. Let's change this guy to last name, and let's see what we see. Go back here, refresh, and we see we got all of our contacts into the section. Now, if for instance we have another way of displaying this, you can go over here and go to the section and say auto sizing. You have a ton of options here. A ton, literally a ton of options on the section. You have in the advanced, we'll show a few things over here. Every single thing here has a question mark, and you can easily click the question mark. It will give you a quick video of what that does. So feel free to explore. Very, very cool. And anything in Titan has it. Okay, so we take the auto sizing, and let's say the repeat margin to be 5 pixels, and let's see what this will do. I'll go back here and refresh, and we can see that it just rendered it, and the page grew automatically according to the size of the sections. All right, let's move on to actions, or to repeated sections. So right now we just got data from Salesforce. What if we want to create data? So what you can do is have it as repeated section, and then you can add more rows, and then you can push it to Salesforce. So let's get rid of our get. And we will add a push. And we'll say we want to push a contact. And we will run it on custom action button. You can run on submit. I just want to show you, and then it will basically push all the contacts in one go. I'll show you a more cool way to do it by having a button, and it will just push that current contact that you're on in the section to Salesforce. And we will say action create. Let's map our fields, and we'll say contact first name to first name, and then last name, and then email. Apply and finish. And let's add a hidden. So I'll show you another cool feature with this one. To here, we'll say created account ID, contact ID, and let's put in a button. And that button will be Salesforce action. We will select our contact push and return the record to the created contact ID that's on the section. What we will check here is execute per repeated item, and then we can have an action on the actual repeated section. So you can do either add, which will add a new row, remove, if let's say your button would be delete, or do nothing, It's just will do nothing. In our instance, let's do add, since we're creating contacts and not deleting. And you get this idea. You can delete data on click. Depends what your push does. You can update data. You can add data like we're doing now. All right, let's hit apply and let's change the button text to create. And let's save this. All right, I'll refresh this guy and say from section and email. All right, let's hit create and see what happens. So it created my contact. We didn't wait for the user to fill up all the contacts that he wanted to do, add, etc. And what you would do in this instance, you would actually hide the add action and the remove action technically, because once it creates, then it goes already to Salesforce, and then our create will actually push it to Salesforce. So let's do another one, another from section and section at and we'll create this guy, and we can see that the IDs that were created are different. So every time you do an action, once you select the execute per repeated item, you can do an action isolated to that part of the section, which is really, really great. So if I'll go to my integration logs, so let's go to the form, integration logs, we can see that we have 2 contacts created. I can view them in Salesforce. And there it is. All right, next up, let's take a look at the tabs. You can add tabs in a few ways. Either you head over here and you find a section. So let's say that's in basic section, and then you can say just throw one with tabs. The only thing that it does, it just puts a section with enabled tab. Let's call this tabbed section. And what we will do here, I'll show you a cool scenario what you can do with it. Let's say in the first tab you want to display accounts, second tab contacts, third tab cases. So let's put in, I'm just going to do one of each, okay? So that will be accounts, that will be account name, that will be, let's do text box, and that will be, let's do case number. So another text, and we'll call this case number. And tabs could be used for a lot of things. Controlling the user flow, you can have conditions and move between tags. There's so much stuff you can do here. In our instance, what we will do is I'll show you how to control the gets once the user moves in between tabs, just to show you how powerful this thing is. So I'll add an hidden, and I'll say tab name, and let's change in the name of the tabs. This will be account, this will be contact, this will be case. Great. All right, so we'll go to the advanced options, and what we will say is map tab name to tab name hidden. Great. Now what we want to do is, once the user goes to the contact tab or to the case tab, we want to run the case get and the contact get. So let's create these gets. So we'll head over to get from Salesforce. Let's add one for the account, get account, and this one can run in form load. and we don't need a condition. We're just going to bring in the first, whatever comes in. I just want to demonstrate how the tab works, and what we will do is map it to the account name. And imagine you would return a lot of contacts here, or a lot of accounts here, and it's very important for you to use loading once the user moves in between tabs, because you don't want to load all the data the minute that the user goes on the screen, or that it doesn't even need to use this tab. Okay, so we'll map it to the name of the account, and we'll apply this, and our second get will be for our contact. And we can use a condition here to get contact from the account that we selected on the first one. In this case, I'm not showing you any complicated gets, just the simplest way and demonstrate the tabs. And what we will do is using custom action button and map fields, set mapping. Let's map it to the contact name. And we'll map it to the full name of the contact. We'll hit apply. And again, we're bringing in the first contact. We have no conditions. So let's set a condition. We'll say something silly. Account ID is not empty. Add an object. We'll do one for the case as well. Get case using custom action button. Condition. We'll say account ID is not empty. Apply, and we'll return the first one as well. And let's map it to case number. All right, so we have everything set up. Let's head over to our hidden, and what we will do here, we'll set a condition saying if current field contains, and you can do equals since we know exactly what the value should be. So we can say equals to contact, then we do not need to support the opposite. Salesforce action, contact get, can do apply, can add another rule saying if current field equals case. Again, we don't actually have to support opposite. Click to configure results, Salesforce action, case get. Okay, so the first one, we're getting the contact, and the second one, we're getting the case. And let me show you how this runs. I've enabled in my form settings the debug mode, so we can see our hidden fields. Let's head over here and refresh. So we can see that our account was loaded immediately, and if I'll move in between the tabs, I see that the tab name gets populated with the contact, and if I'll move into the case, I see tab name gets populated with the case, and then we run our get, and like so, you can control your navigation. And obviously you can separate them out and check if you want to run it, if the things here are empty or not. As of now, I'm just running it every time the user moves in between tabs. So this is a cool way to use the tabs. And the get data to have lazy loading and have your form perform a lot better. Next up, I'll show you the styling options for the section. And this, we have a lot of options for the styling. So I'll head over to the element settings. I'll click on the style, and now watch this. For every single thing, you can set a style. So let's say if this guy would be repeated, and I'll remove the tabs, but hypothetically, if this was repeated, then you can go to the style and select the add button, the active tabs, anything you want here, and then you can style. Let's put it back to the tabs and go back to the styling. So you can do height per device. Let's say if you're running on mobile and you don't want to show the tabs, You can set the background for these, etc. Anything here, tab navigation, you can control the font, the background, or hide it or show it, the label of the section, the hover, the active. So right now this is the active one. So let's say with the active you want to do it in black. Okay, so that will give you the background for the active tab that's right now running. You can do active tabs, same thing here, and there it is. Just keep in mind that anything that you need help with, and the section is really huge, anything that you need help with, always go and explore, hit the question marks, and you have all the information there. And this is how it's done.